Hey, look out. It is Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
Good to have Kathy Mullen on the show. You can see her there in Zoom. She's not in Atlanta. She's in Oregon. So her and her husband out there. How's the weather in Oregon in, what is this, Dan? April?
I think it is. I've lost track of time. I don't know what day it is.
It's actually nice. It's gotten warm here. It's in the 60 degrees and it stopped raining. It's beautiful out, but he's not my husband. But anyway, go ahead.
Sorry about that. That was just an assumption.
That's
but anyway,
okay.
We're glad that you are enjoying yourself. And pretty soon when this is all said and done, the COVID-19 pandemic, you'll be back in Alpharetta. Let's talk a little bit about what you do. You're the founder of Mullen's Miracles. I'm just going to read here what you have given us because it's so good. You bring hope to the hopeless. You serve people as they navigate grief, mental health, addiction, suicide awareness, and understanding of organ donation. Here we are in the pandemic. The first thing everyone did was fear. And then with fear, depression, then the economy, there's worry. We talked to a gentleman last week that he has a ministry to folks that have experienced family members who have given their lives up, suicide. So we're in just kind of a crazy time. This is really perfect for us to talk to you because you do so much for folks. How are you doing and how are you helping folks?
Well, actually, I am doing well right now. Thank you. It's been difficult. I lost my son to suicide about a year and a half ago. So I've gone through a lot of the mental illness issues, dealing with grief, you know, all the things that I experienced here that we have set up with our nonprofit. I've been going through since October of 2018. The one thing that I want to make sure that people understand is there always is hope, and that really is the first option, and to reach out and seek help from others around you. Honestly, I've done a lot of therapy, lots of different kinds of therapy. I don't know that I would be here today if I hadn't done that, and if I hadn't listened to friends and family that were supporting me. It would have been difficult to get through. So it's even still difficult now, but I know what I have to do, and part of that is self-care, and it's not optional for me. I mean, that's my number one thing every day, even with a sticky on the refrigerator.
Kathleen, what was it after losing your son? I mean, I just cannot imagine the grief that you would go through because of that. What was it that made you say, I really need to get some help here? I'm not dealing very well with this on my own.
I knew it before I even got to the hospital. My son was in Iowa at the time, and I flew from Atlanta to University of Iowa hospitals, and I knew that I needed help right away. And I actually, before I even left Atlanta, had gotten in touch with Eric's trauma PTSD therapist and started working with her before Eric was even gone. But really, when it came down to it, when I got into more serious trouble with all of this, months into the situation, I really hit a dark period, and for an extended period of time. And I didn't know if sadness would be the only thing I would feel the rest of my life. In all honesty, it was really an odd place. I didn't want to die. I'd made a commitment to Eric that before I left the hospital, that I would do everything I could to get his story and his message out. But for me, I hit this really dark period, and I really didn't know if I would feel anything beyond sadness. And at that point, it was really life impacting for me to listen to Jeff, my partner here. And he said, you need more help, and you need it today. And we called and got an appointment that day. So I started working with another therapist. And, I just don't think you can do enough to help each other out and be there and support each other. And you have to listen to each other. And if someone says, hey, you're really in trouble, you've got to do something. And there's so many resources available, and we're looking to add additional resources through our program. But the biggest thing is getting out there and being willing to speak about it and being willing to say, hey, I'm in trouble, I need help. And that was one thing. I needed to be a voice for my son throughout all of this.
Kathy Mullen, she's the founder of Mullen's Miracles. At what point, Kathy, did you say, you know what, I need to focus not just on myself and my issue? It's a real thing you're going through or went through, and you'll continue to go through. But at what point did you say, you know what, I think I should help other people?
I'm going to say, honestly, it was early on. It was before I even left the hospital. And my helping comes in a couple of different ways. One, we were blessed to be able to be an organ donor. So my son was able to save 5 lives through organ donation,
Wow.
as well as impact others through tissue and bone donation too, and cornea. So that was one way to help. And that was a difficult decision, not the decision to do the donation, but to go through the process, because it's a long, excruciating process when you're sitting there waiting for days to go through the matches and things of that nature. It can be very long and painful. In the long run, I wouldn't have changed my mind in the world for doing that, but it was difficult at the time. Um, Beyond that, then getting additional help. And I've used a lot of different types of therapy, but listening to your friends, seeking help, being willing to speak about it. But I knew before I ever left the hospital, this was what my mission was going to be. It just took me a long time to get well enough to be able to do that.
Mm.
Kathleen, for folks that are in this pandemic crisis now, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of people probably that have lost jobs and are facing depression and maybe even suicidal thoughts. What are some things that they can do to work through this? Obviously, prayer, but what other things can folks do?
I'm going to say reach out. And the first thing I'm going to say is grief is unique for everybody. And you do go through a grieving period when it's a job loss, going through COVID where our lives have been turned upside down. It's not the same. It's not going to be the same. We don't know what that's going to look like. But going ahead and seeking help, reaching out, there's lots of venues to help. Mullen's Miracles, we don't have our website up yet, but it's in process right now. Personally, you can reach out to me anytime at kathymullen.com or on Facebook. And but go to the suicide websites. Like you said, through church, have faith, read books that will help you, just whatever it is. And like I said, for me, self-care is like number one. I've learned that self-care to me is just as important as if I was diabetic and I had to take my insulin. I don't go a day without it, because otherwise I do get off balance. And whatever it is that works for you to stay balanced is what's most important. And that's what you have to do.
Kathy Mullen here, founder of Mullen's Miracles. Kathy, kind of speak to that. Not only the fact, do we want people to reach out to you, to reach out to friends and get help, but it's okay if this is something that they continue to progress over their lifetime. It's not a quick fix. It's not something that in a couple of years, I'll be over it. This is something that is a part of you because it's a person. In your case, just kind of speak to that, because I think we live in this and have for some time self-help, and I can get it fixed, and I'll for $19.99 I'm good. But that's not the way it is, right? Because what you're saying is that, what, I've reached out, this is every day, and this is my life now, and it's okay.
You're absolutely right. And that's an excellent question. First of all, I am one of those quick fix people. If it's not resolved within a day, it's difficult. And that was one of the first things the second therapist I started going to told me. He goes, Kathy, this is 18 months to 3 years to 5 years. And it's to get used to learning how to live with this. And it's never going to go away. You're right. It just becomes part of you. It becomes part of who you are. And you learn how to carry it. And so from that standpoint, I had to try different types of therapy. I had to try different things, but I knew I couldn't, in the long run, my purpose had to be bigger than me to keep me going. And that purpose is to share with others so that someone else, I pray, doesn't have to go through what I've had to go through. I lost my job too. That's part of all of this. My whole life is different, but you have to know that and have faith that you can get through, and life will be different. I'll never be the Kathy Mullen I was before I lost my son. But you know what? Maybe this Kathy Mullen isn't exactly the same, but maybe she'll be okay. And she's going to be able to help others and do things that I wouldn't have ever done otherwise. I would have never had this opportunity had I not lost Eric. My gosh, in a million years, I'd love to have him back, but I can't. That wasn't my choice. So my choice is how I deal with it. And that choice is to be as best and positive of a person as I can and helpful for others and give hope. and have faith that you'll get there. I mean, my faith has been very, very strong throughout this process. And if I hadn't had that, it might have made a difference too. And it's difficult. Mental health people don't want to talk about. They don't want to talk about suicide. And I made a decision very early on before, again, I ever left the hospital. I was going to be honest about what happened. I didn't want to have to hide my story because I think it's compelling and I think it's important for people to know it's okay,
Right.
That's so
Eric
good.
is loved, and I know that, so do others around him. But sometimes internally you have to find the right help to get to your own place of being okay.
Kathy, thank you so much for reaching out to other people, and we are so sorry. We are so sorry for what you've had to experience, but you've taken that experience and you're touching people's lives. And I got to say, as we get through this thing, there are going to be more and more people that are going to need your hand, going to need your help, going to need your experience. So our prayers are with you and for you. She's the founder of Mullen's Miracles. You heard her. She's on Facebook. And pretty soon she'll be on mullensmiracles.org and kathymullen.org as well. Is it .org or .com?
.net.
.net.
There's too many dots, aren't there?
It's not either, is it?
I know.
Kathy, thank you so much. We got to go to a break. We appreciate you. We'll talk to you soon. Check it out. Hey, we'll be right back. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live.